Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. I'm recording this on MLK Day, so nice to have a day off from work in the middle of January after I've just had 2 weeks off from work recently. But yeah, it's Monday or Tuesday if you're watching this, and I have had a very productive week of knitting and spinning and stuff. Again, as always, like I think I know how a week is gonna go, and then it goes totally differently. So I will show you all the things I did that were a surprise to everyone, including me. Yeah, but today I'm wearing Drama. This is a sweater by Jennifer Steingass. Pattern in the description box. I made it into a cardigan myself, which was fun. Didn't do a great job on the button bands. This was actually the first time I ever did a steek in anything. Also didn't put enough buttons on it. It has like gaps and stuff, but you know what? We live and learn, and it's cozy, and I don't really care. And the gray that I used here is Armskip Manor. I guess it was like the Armskip Manor DK or worsted, whatever. It was, I got the yarn in 2020. So there's pizza dough all over the cuffs, unsurprisingly, because I just made pizza dough. I got it from the Woolly Thistle in 2020. So I don't even know if Armskip Manor makes the same exact kind of yarn anymore. I do have some. I have some that is of the fingering weight version, but it's in there and I don't want to. One of them's in a ball. The gray one's in a ball. It's definitely not easily accessible, so I will not be looking for that and causing an avalanche of yarn. But yeah, if you want to shop with the Woolly Thistle, I am an affiliate, so somewhere up there is my affiliate link, which will take you to the Woolly Thistle's page and apply my code automatically at checkout. You don't get a discount, but I get a small kickback at no extra cost to you because they're the best. So really appreciate the Woolly Thistle, and you should shop there because they have all the woolly wool you could ever want. And they're also awesome people. So small businesses, they make the world go round, truly. And I really like this sweater. It's super cozy. Armskip Manor is not super soft, but I have a long sleeve shirt underneath this right now. Sometimes I don't need to wear long sleeves under a sweater like this if it's cold enough, because as the people from Shetland say, if you're itchy in the wool, it means it's not cold enough to be wearing that wool. So fun. I don't want to say fun fact because I don't know if that's actually a scientific fact, but I do notice it to be true. So that's fun. But some people are just a little bit less sensitive to woolly wool than others. And so, yeah, I feel like my own sensitivity changes sometimes based on the season and how much of it I'm wearing and all that. So, yeah. Okay, I do have a note. I have notes here. Blue spin. Oh, I have to go get the blue spin. Hang on. Once again, the pause feature of this new iMovie thing is not even iMovie, just iPhone, is amazing. The blue spin, this is an ongoing project that I've been working on for a while. I got this white. I got this white Targhee last year at Rhinebeck, last year being 2023. And I dyed it all this kind of blue, but like I didn't do it, I did it very tonally. Like I don't think I soaked the wool or something, or I soaked it, pre-soaked in citric acid, whatever I did. I have 1.5 pounds of this, or I had 1.5 pounds initially. Some of it's already spun now. And I dyed them all separately, so they're all using the same dye, but I didn't measure. Maybe I did measure, but like, again, dyeing fiber, I tried to make it as random as possible because I didn't actually want the bumps of fiber to match. So this one is extremely like different. There's a lot of white and like darker blue spots. Some of it is much more even. So I just kind of grab pieces as I decide to grab them, and I have no rhyme or reason to it. And then once I have 2 fullish bobbins, I ply them together. So I have finished another skein of this. I'm spinning it woolen, even though it's technically combed top. This one's really nice and bouncy. This is the 4th skein that I've made. It's probably 250 yards on this skein, although there might be less because I Targhee is super bouncy, so it springs back a lot. Like when you wash it, after being washed, it kind of like springs back. So it's probably less than 250, but I have now 4 big skeins, and I'm planning to make the Traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry with this. So I'm spinning it to like sport DK weight. Here's the other ones that are right in front of me. I have a bag of them. 1, 2, you can see they're super different. Like there's gonna be some weird pooling, but that's okay. I want them to all be super random. So there's 4 total now. This is not enough for a sweater with a hood. But it's actually not that far from being enough for a sweater with a hood, to be honest. So I don't know how much more I'm gonna need to do, but I also haven't started knitting it yet. I thought about it. I was like, I should cast that on. And then I was like, no, you have too many projects and too many sweaters. And it's like, well, that one's nice and vanilla. It just has like, you know, it's knits and pearls. It's so easy. And I was like, no, stop. You have too many projects. Like, yes, while it is fun to cast things on when they bring you joy, there is a fine line between joy and being totally overwhelmed by whips. So, yeah. And I have plenty of whips. Oh, and this is the spin that I was working on last week that I said I was going to apply together. I think this is very funky and could easily rival Spin Cycle's color sense. I say Spin Cycle because I think they have the funkiest color sense of any of the companies that make the barber pole yarns. Yarn Hero, Feederbrook, Junction Fiber Mill. There's so many. What's on this? It's probably just hand cream. Anyway, I think this one's funky, and it just makes me realize I should do a little bit more of like, you know, space dyeing my own fiber with different random colors and then applying multiple different colorways together and getting funky stuff. So it is funky. It's just a good way to play with color, and it's interesting. So I was enjoying that. So yeah, now I'm kind of back to this blue. I'm probably going to do another skein or 2 with the blue, and then I'll do something else. I also spun a skein of the other fleece I got at Rhinebeck this past year. A fleece, not a processed fiber. So this is the first skein of Teeny. I don't know if I showed this last time, but it's probably about a sport fingering weight. It's Shetland. Funky color, I like it. I was thinking of spinning several skeins and then dyeing a bunch of them like a really dark blue or purple, because the dye comes out really funky on like brown and grayish yarns, as I learned when I dyed yak sock yarn. It's just like really beautiful, like kind of murky colors. So we'll see. I don't know how long it's going to take me to spin up those skeins anyway. So I still have to comb. I'm like staring at the floor because the fleece is all washed, but I haven't combed most of it. So I need to have a day where I comb a lot, probably several days, but maybe not all in a row. I could have done that today, except I have plans to go watch Wicked with one of my friends. Again, except I bought it on streaming, so we don't have to pay anymore. So that's fun. But yeah. Okay, this week I surprised myself enormously by deciding to work on my pink Svensson sweater. So I was talking about this last week. This is the sweater that I'm knitting in the West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft Shetland colors. And somebody very helpfully commented that this is actually a machine washable yarn. And they don't say superwash on it. It just says 100% wool. But if you look at the symbols on the back, they have the wash, no dryer, whatever that is. You can wash it 30 degrees. So not hot, but you can wash it in like lukewarm to warm water. So that's fun. So I don't know if this means it's treated. I don't know what it means because they don't give any information about that. But maybe this is hand wash, 30 degrees. I don't know. If somebody knows what these symbols mean, there they are. You are welcome to let me know. I could probably Google that, but I didn't Google it. It says reshape whilst damp, do not tumble dry. obviously you can probably read that. So anyway, that's fun. It's, yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it's like smooth in the way that superwash yarn is smooth. You know what I mean? Like almost like it has a, sometimes when I'm knitting with some superwash yarns, it almost feels like it's like acrylic, like it's like too smooth, that it's like almost like plastic in your hands. I don't know, that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. But anyway, moving past the way this yarn feels, looks, and how you treat it, I decided, I don't know what came over me, but like I usually, like I say, I don't like to let anything police me while knitting. I don't like deadlines. I don't like any of that, because this is my thing that brings me joy. And like when I'm relaxing, I don't want to be forced into anything. So I just kind of knit whatever my brain decides I want to knit. So clearly wanted to work on this last week. So the last time I showed you this sweater, it looked something like this. You know, little piece. You could kind of see the pattern taking shape with the antler cables and the honeycomb cable, which, yeah, if you go up close, it looks more like a honeycomb. You actually close it with purl stitches instead of more cables, which is easier. And I didn't like the way that it looked at first, but then I decided that I did. And also I think it will look different when blocked. And it has little herringbone cables and then moss stitch at the edges of each piece. But this is the front, because I finished the back, because I was crazy last week and I knitted the rest of it. So this is one piece. I think it will spread a bit once it's blocked. So yeah, I just kind of got going on it. To be fair, the cabling of it is actually not very difficult. This does curl. It won't curl when there's a neckband on it, but yeah, it's got raglan decreases. I decided, full disclosure, I didn't, like, it was asking me to do the raglan decreases in the opposite direction that they should be pointing. Like you wouldn't be able to see the slope going in the correct direction. So I did two the way that they told me, then I was like, why don't I just switch it and do it the other way? And it looks like pretty neat that way, except the cables got a little bit messed up here because like I didn't continue once I didn't have enough stitches, and then that was a bit odd just because I don't know, like I think that would have looked less disturbed if I had done them the other way. And then I started doing them the correct way after I got to the double decreases. So that's what the correct-ish way looks like after I started doing the double decreases. You do the herringbone, half of a herringbone braid all along here, and then the other half of the herringbone braid on the other, like on each sleeve, so that it looks like it makes one full herringbone thing that decreases along with the sweater, which is really cool. But I think on the front, this is the back, so it won't be so obvious. I think on the front, I'm going to do them all facing the direction they're supposed to be facing, which is not creating that slope, but creating this kind of like little, things going in the opposite direction. I thought about taking it out and redoing it, and then I was like, nope, I don't care about that. I won't see it because it's on the back and nobody will notice and it doesn't matter. And it was one of those things where I was like, this is not going to keep me from wearing the sweater. And like, raglans, I was taking notes, like it was painstaking, and I was like, absolutely, I am not ripping this out. Like, it's taken me so long. I don't care. It's not going to affect the fit. So whole piece is done. And then this guy is partially, I started doing the waist shaping. So I got 20 to 30, maybe 30 rows in. So I'm just trying to do it in like 10 rows at a time. Yeah, I did really sit down, like that piece only took a few days because I just sat down like every afternoon after I got back from work. I was just like resting, chilling out, and I would just go for like 3 or 4 hours and just knit. Really enjoying myself, had some good TV to watch, which I will describe later. And yeah, it was like addicting. So that was fun. I don't know if I will continue to be addicted to it this week, but I'm probably going to try and power through like 10 rows at a time, a couple times a day, just to definitely actually make some progress, because I think when the those two big pieces are done, the sleeves will go pretty quickly. Because I find that once I get through about that much of a piece, which, you know, maybe that's 2/3, it's probably more than 2/3, the two big pieces. I find that once you get past a certain point, and it's a different point for each project, but it's like you can sort of start to see the thing take shape, and you're like, I'm pretty close, like I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning. It's easier to motivate yourself to work on it. So like I said, I don't like to force myself to knit certain things, but I do kind of like the, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I like the regularity of ticking things off. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe I will not knit a single stitch on this again until after next time I record. But I enjoyed what I did do this week on this. I enjoyed doing something different, making, you know, cables feel easy. To be fair, like I said, the cables are not complicated on this. This is the Svensson Shaped by Jared Flood Brooklyn Tweed pattern. The antler cable, you only have to do a cable every 10 rows. The herringbone cable is super easy to do without a cable needle. And then the honeycomb cable, sometimes I don't use a cable needle. Depends on my mood. I usually use a cable needle for these cables, but you only have to do the cables every 4 rows because it's an 8-row repeat, and every other row is, you know, patterned on the front, but only every other of those rows uses the cable needle because the opposite ones have purl stitches to close the gaps, I guess, to create the tops and bottoms of the honeycomb. So that's fun. Yeah. It's not really a honeycomb. It has 4 sides. It's more of a diamond. I don't know why we call them honeycomb cables. Honeycombs have 6 hexagons. So anyway, this has been fun. I've enjoyed it. So I also have decided that I wanted to get out the dye pot this week. I don't super know what prompted it. I think I was thinking that, I don't know, I was thinking of bright colors and other things to do for other people, I think. And I decided to dye this bright yellow yarn. And this is I think this is 100% superwash merino. So it's like, it looks like a sock yarn, but I don't think it has any nylon in it. I have a bag of just undyed bare white yarns. And some things are in labeled bags and some things aren't, because I usually just know what they are. This is so fun. I used Jacquard Bright Yellow to dye this. I soaked it in water, then I put it in the pot with the dye. Then once I put it on the stove and once it started to boil, I added vinegar. We don't have any, I can't find the citric acid, which is annoying because vinegar smells terrible. So I need to buy more citric acid. Luckily, it's not very expensive. I use vinegar, which makes the house smell kind of gross, but then if you wash it in wool wash that's scented, like I can mostly smell the jasmine wool wash, but I can still kind of smell the vinegar, which is a little gross. Don't love that. So that's fun. So I dyed this. And then I had an idea. So I want to design something for the Woolly Thistle cowl, which you will see my plan for that in the Woolly Thistle Shopcast, which isn't coming out until a week from Friday because we set it back a week. So I'm actually not gonna show you any of the colors for the first thing that I decided to do. But it is, I decided to knit a set of cowls. I'm still very inspired by the Wicked movie. And so my brain kind of went immediately there when I decided what I was going to design for the first cowl, or what I was going to knit for the first cowl that I'm going to do for the knit along. and it's mostly green. And because I was thinking about Wicked already, I decided that I would knit with a pop of pink. I was like, yeah, green with pink, that'll be nice. But then I was like, well, I need to make one for Glinda as well. Like, I need to make a pink one with a little bit of green. So I thought that the best way to use the yarn that I have is not to knit those long cowls, like the Natalie cowl that I did I did that last year. You can buy kits for the Natalie cowl at the Woolly Thistle if you want. But it's like a longer cowl that pops over your head and has a Mobius twist. I don't have one up here to show what that looks like, but you probably know what I'm talking about if you've watched my channel before. So I like to design those cowls, but I also like to design the ones that just pop right over your head. And those ones I think are a little bit more conducive to all over patterns. When I say all over, I mean this. Okay, I just needed to get a couple books. So this was the book that I started with, Selbu Patterns. Actually ended up finding the pattern that I wanted to use for the Glinda cowl in Selbu Mittens, which I will show you in a minute. But these books are both by Anne Barsgaard. She did them in Norwegian initially, and then they were published in English. But most of the reason you'd want this book is for the charts. So if you can only find it in Norwegian, it's not going to matter that much. Like, there's pictures that will tell you what something is, and that might be helpful to be able to read it. But most of this is just color patterns. These are public domain patterns from Selbu, and all over patterns are or endless patterns. Sometimes they call them endless patterns. They're patterns that don't have, like, they're not like strips. Like, often in Fair Isle, the colors or the patterns are in bands, but these are all over. Fair Isle does use some all overs too, but they're endless. And so on the ones that are like longer, that have the Mobius twist, I usually use bands. But not everyone does that. Some people, Corrine did one, I think it went around twice, it was called the Tapestry Cowl. That was an all over pattern, and it was like that. I don't know why in my mind, like, there's a boundary where, like, when I knit the long ones with the Mobius twist, I do the bands, and then when I do the ones that pop right over your head, I use all over ones. I have one actually that's a double, and I don't always do this. Okay, so I have the like super long one that goes around twice. This, I don't think I ever published this. I should, because it's really pretty. I knitted this in a bunch of different colors of JNS 2-ply, and then the background is 81. This is my fairy, I called it the Fairy Lights cowl. And this goes around your neck twice, and this is all over. This is a Faroese pattern. They call it something else. I was reading about that in a book about Faroese knitting just the other day. But anyway, I showed you the book about Faroese knitting because I decided I was gonna knit my Rhinebeck sweater using the pattern from that book. But like this is an all over pattern where in that type of, and also my Forget-Me-Not cowl, which is right here. Oh, this is technically an all over pattern too, although no, I guess it's not. You could think of it as an all over pattern, but it doesn't connect, so in theory it could be bands, and the flowers are separated by, and I don't know, I guess this is a banded design too. This one, jury's out. You can decide for yourself if it's all over or banded. I'm gonna wear it because it's nice. But anyway, the Elphaba cowl, I had already decided on that pattern. I've actually already knitted a sample of it, and I was like, I'm gonna knit another sample of this, and then I'm gonna publish the pattern eventually. I'll probably publish the patterns at the end of the year when the new Wicked movie comes out. So, okay. The first thing I needed to do, though, was to decide what to use for the inside of those cowls. So some of them, I have a cowl called the Fae cowl. That's a free pattern on Ravelry, actually. And that one has, the outside is an all over, actually it's 2 all over patterns. So the outside of the cowl you knit on bigger needles. So I knit mine on a size 3. And then when you finish the outside of it, you continue knitting, but you change needle sizes to be smaller because you're gonna fold that one inside. I have something here where I can demonstrate that. So this one, like here you can see this is a cowl, but actually there's a piece that's folded inside and this part is smaller. So I did an inside out cowl here, or I didn't do inside out. I did the reverse colors here. So I just reversed I haven't worn this in ages, the brown and the white, or the black and the white. It's super, super dark brown, but it looks black. So I, knitted this on larger needles and then switched to smaller needles and did the exact same thing. But then I didn't graft this one together. I just fold it inside and you can wear it as like a snood, not folded in on itself, or you can fold it in on itself and it's like double thick and super, super cozy, right? So the fake cowl actually has a different pattern for the inside, and then you graft them together. You do like a provisional cast on, or you can just cast on and then sew them together, because you're not going to see the join because it's going to be on the inside here. Like when you knit it, you just knit the outside a little bit longer than you knit the inside and you won't see any of the inside. So that's fun. But actually then I knitted a pattern called the Snuggle is Real, which was so fun. I'll link the pattern for that in the show notes somewhere. And that one, it's by Maxim Cyr, I think. It's with two colors of DK weight yarn, like Superwash DK Merino, and you do this like cool slip stitch pattern on the outside, and then on the inside, I think he did like 2 strands of alpaca, like it's like the mohair. What is the other? It's like mohair. Is it mohair and nylon? I should know that. This. It's like this is mohair. Whatever the core is. Oh, silk. Duh. Wow, sorry, brain fart. I haven't used this in a while. But as you can see, I just have a bag of white yarn sitting here. So the alpaca version of that, alpaca silk. So like you have a skein of this and you wind it up and you either take one from the outside and one from the inside, or you have 2 separate balls and you're knitting with 2 strands of this. And that becomes the inside of the cowl, and that's what gets tucked in, and then you graft it all together at the end. So I wanted to use something really soft for the inside just because I find that really comfortable. So I had some yarn that was given to me last year by somebody in my choir, my friend Simona. And she had gone to Quebec right after Christmas, I think. And she found this hyper local yarn. She said that's what they called it at the store. And it was half wool and half cashmere. And she had given me 2 balls of this yarn. It was white, totally undyed and beautiful. It was called Wool, but both the O's had umlauts over it. So I'll see if I can find it online. I don't know if it's available to buy online, but it was just sitting around because I actually cast on a mitten in it, and I was thinking I would knit a pair of mittens and then embroider them. And I still think that would be really beautiful, but I truly I'm just that doesn't fit into my head anywhere. Like it would be so fun, but I'm like, when am I going to have time to do that? I don't know. I don't feel like I have the creative energy to do that. So that's not going to happen realistically. So I was like, what else can I use that for? And then I thought, okay, it's half cashmere, so it's really soft. Let me use it for my Glinda and Alphaba cowls. So I had to skein it up actually because it was bald. That makes it sound like it had like a bald head. It was in a ball form when she gave it to me. So this is the green. Actually, I didn't measure any of this dye. I almost never measure dye. I just kind of go on vibes. This was avocado with a little bit of an emerald colorway. The avocado is a Dharma acid dye, and then the emerald is a jacquard. And actually, I think this very, very perfectly encapsulates the green I wanted. And then the pink, I just used jacquard. No, not jacquard. Dharma dyes in flamingo. And more yarn, more dye ended up in the pot than I had anticipated, but I actually think this is perfect. So, yeah, they came out well. my pink and my green. So pink, the Glinda cowl will be lined with this, and then the alphabet cowl will be lined with this. You won't be able to see them, but I just think it's fun and cute. I don't know why I balled them up, or I wound them. I skeined them up because they're not actually dry, but that's fine. I'll hang them up. I'll undo them. Okay, so alphabet cowl, you have to wait and see what the colors are gonna be and what the pattern's gonna look like on the Shopcast. Incentive for everyone to go watch the Shopcast next week when it comes out. But I started the Glinda cowl, and I had several thoughts about it. I dug through the Selbu Patterns book. I took some pictures. I was talking to my friend Ivy about it, because I posted a picture of the pink and the green yarn that I dyed, and I was like, Wicked Theme project coming up or whatever. I made a dumb joke, and Ivy was like, tell me everything, and I was like, of course. So like I need some help anyway. So I decided that I just started taking pictures, and I was like, what looks good, Ivy? And then I talked myself into the correct answer, and then she responded and was like, yeah, that's the right one. So hang on, I need to take a sip of my smoothie. I need to preserve the surprise here, the element of surprise. I went for a run this morning, but I've been having some pain in my left hip somewhere. I don't know if it's my IT band or my hip flexor or it's related to my knee or what, but I think it is a result from running on ice too much, because I have to be really careful in my gait changes on ice because I'm taking smaller steps and keeping my feet like directly below me in a way that I think is a little bit unnatural for my gait. And I don't notice the pain as much when I can open up my stride a little bit where it's not icy on the sidewalks. So I went for a run on Saturday that was pretty icy, and then this morning, and I'm like, you know what? I actually think I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow because it's really cold this week and it snowed again yesterday, so that's why there was ice on the sidewalks. Not everywhere, but like enough that I was like, no, I don't like this. So I might actually cross train. I might go on the bike or the elliptical tomorrow just to avoid the impact in my hip, but while still working out, because my training block for the marathon starts next week, and I'm hoping that it warms up enough that the snow and ice melt on the sidewalk. And I think this is the last week it's going to be really cold, so should be like in the 40s next week, which is just like normal seasonal weather here. And then I will be able to run outside totally normally, safely on the sidewalks. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think as much as I want to push through and run more because I like running, it's not joyful when something hurts. So, and I really don't want to injure it worse by overuse. Or, also at the very end of my run today, actually, I had some pain in the front of my shin, and I was like, is this what shin splints feel like? Because I've never had shin splints. But I sometimes use the massage gun on my, like close to my shins, like on the anterior tibialis band or my posterior tibialis band. Some of you are probably doctors and you're like yelling at me that I'm wrong. But it's, you can't see, I'm not holding my foot up high enough. It's the tendon that like goes all the way from like on the inside of your shin down into your ankle and into your foot. And sometimes I get pain in my ankle that is related to that. And so I like massage gun that tendon, but I think it gets really close to my shin, and I'm afraid that I've like percussed it too much and like done some damage to one of my shins. So I'm like, maybe I should take it easy. Anyway, back to the cowl. I found this page in Selbu Mittens that was like basically their palm patterns, like all over patterns that you can use for the inside of mittens that people have used. And so I thought that these ones, you can tell that I had the sticky note there, these ones reminded me of Glinda's bubble, and Ivy agreed with me when I sent it to her, so I'm using this one. And actually there's some of it is a bit off. Can't remember which one of these is off, but anyway, one of them is. But this is the pattern I'm using, and I've put it into Stitch Mastery so that, oh yeah, you can see here, it's all off center. It's like missing I think it's just missing a whole line, a whole column. But I just took it from this side and put it in Stitch Mastery. And I am working on this, and I'll show you what it looks like. So the colors I picked out I've changed my mind a few times before I started knitting, because this way this has been sitting here. This was a rejected color. It's because the lighter colors that I picked ended up being peachier. So I'm going peach. So I've got Jameson Sun Glow, as this is the darkest, and then this is a Rauma color, which I don't know where the band is, and then this is JNS 101. So these are my light colors, and then white. And then my pattern colors, this is the green, there's only one green, but this is 79 Emerald. Then I have 43 Maroon. Oh no, that's not the next one. This is the Jameson Plum. Hang on. Let me do this. 7 JNS 2-ply. And I think this one's actually just 6. No, 8 Coral. So these are my pattern colors. And you can imagine that white is also involved. So there are the Glinda colors. It's crazy. It's a little crazy. They always look different when I start knitting them than I had imagined. Whoops. So I have knitted almost a whole repeat. Oh shoot, the marker fell out. Oh, but I know where it is. It's in my laptop. It's stuck. It magnetically stuck to my laptop. I need a little stopper. So this is what it looks like so far. It's so fun. I am so addicted. So we'll see how, that's what I mean by like, I don't actually know how much of this pink sweater I'm going to get done, because now I'm like in Fair Isle heaven. And I don't like to put limits on myself, like I said. So I'm going to go to my friend's house and watch Wicked and work on this, and then hopefully just like chill out a little bit about it, and then be able to come home maybe later and work on the pink sweater. I don't know, but maybe I'll just fly through this in like 3 days. That's also definitely a possibility, because I find Fair Isle addicting sometimes. It's funny, like it depends on the project. Like sometimes I knit like an inch and then I'm like, I can't even stomach the thought of this. And sometimes I just go forever. And my tolerance has gotten higher, like the more I do, because the quicker I get. And also it's addicting to like watch the pattern emerge. So yeah, it really depends on like where I am mentally with it. But yeah, it's definitely really fun and exciting to do Fair Isle. And yeah, if I can do it in a few days, then I can just go back to the pink sweater, because this will be done. So yeah, but I find that like when I'm working on a sweater, I'll work on a Fair Isle sweater for like, I'll get a big chunk done, but then I'm like, I am so done with this. I need to put it away for 3 weeks or 2 months or whatever. So this is not a very big project. And so I anticipate that I will probably be able to get through it on insanity alone. Because like I said, it's not as much knitting as this. It's like about as much knitting as the section of a sweater that I would knit until I got frustrated or just bored with it. So anyway, yeah, that's fun. So I don't want this to be too long, or I meant to not have it be too long because I want to go to my friend's house, but I will tell you slightly more about what I was watching and stuff this week. So I was watching a couple things. I watched Geek Girl on Netflix, which if you have not heard of it or seen it, it was really charming. It was a show about this like total geek, like 16-year-old girl in a high school in somewhere near London. And she only has like one friend, and all these people at school are really mean to her. And she is in a fashion class at school because her one friend is really into fashion and wants to be a model. But she's also like an amazing designer. But so the class gets to go to London Fashion Week for some reason. And then the girl it's about, the geek, her name is Harriet. She like gets discovered because she has like a look, and like she basically becomes a supermodel, and it's so charming. Like she's so sweet, and it's just like the most charming thing. It's a 10-episode series, and the episodes are like 26 minutes long or something. So that was really charming. So I watched that. And then I watched a show on Hulu called High Potential, which is actually a show that's like on ABC right now. And it's with the woman from It's Always Sunny, Caitlin Olsen. She's Dee on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And she plays like Hercule Poirot, Sherlock Holmes type of character where like she's not a detective, but she's a single mom and she like works in the police precinct as a janitor, or yeah, and she like accidentally knocks something over and like looks at the evidence and basically solves a cold case like at night while she's working, and then the commissioner, whoever's in charge, like finds out who did it and calls her in and like hires her as a consultant because she's so amazing at like seeing things other people don't, basically, you know, the same Sherlock Holmes type of stuff, but it's HP based on Hercule Poirot. I think that's what it says in the credits, which it took me a while to realize, and I was like, oh, of course, that's so funny. And it's set in LA. It's really funny. It is funny. It's very, very, and it's clever. It's totally addicting. Like every episode is a new case. So I watched whatever was available. There's like 9 episodes out. So I watched all of those too, and that was good. And I finished The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, which I found very interesting. Didn't have as many thoughts about it as I did about Wuthering Heights, but I was reading a review and on Goodreads, and someone was like, a bunch of people were calling them the main woman, Helen, like they used words like, you know, holier than thou, and like, you know, like kind of the way you would describe like Mary Bennett from Pride and Prejudice, or like maybe Fanny from Mansfield Park, like dull, like killjoy kind of like girls. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is so not like that. Like the reason that she's being like, she's not being holier than thou, she's surrounded by disgusting frat boys of the 1800s, and they're horrible and they're disgusting. Like she's not reacting in a way that's like, to me, you know, weird at all, or like uncalled for. Like, no, she's like, you're being a like terrible people and making my 4-year-old drink liquor. Like that's crazy. Like she is not, I don't think she was overreacting to any of that stuff. So I didn't think it like that I don't know. There were parts of it that I felt were not very original, but then there were parts of it where I was like, this is kind of like, you know, interesting to write, like, or to read from, you know, my perspective now, like that she was writing in the mid 19th century. Like, yeah, like, you know, the woman who just like leaves her husband, and that was crazy. And then like the way that, yeah, she just described these horrible dudes, like she was not holding back. But I've also found that there was a little cliche, like all these men kept falling all over her and like trying to get her to like, you know, cheat on her husband with them because he was being a cheating scum on her. And then like she was like, all these men need to leave me alone. But then like the main character who's like gets to read the diary and is all this stuff, he doesn't get treated that way. And I was like, what's the difference between him and any of the other ones? I guess it's just like she likes him, but I was like, I feel like he needs to like be special in some way. I don't know, because there seemed like the other guys were kind of nice too, but she was like, you get away from me. So I don't know, I'm just rambling, and most people probably haven't read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. My mom had not read it, but yeah, this morning I started listening to a Sherlock Holmes book on Audible because it was narrated by Derek Jacobi, and he's so good. So that was fun. And I tried to start listening to Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, but I like tuned out just enough that like I didn't really understand who any of the characters were. And I was like, I think I need to read this one on paper. Like Sally Rooney, for me, needs to be read on paper. But I also finished Big Sky by Kate Atkinson, which was really good. If you like detective novels, she writes really good detective stories. And most of them are about this detective named Jackson Brody. And there's like a 6 or something in the series, but you don't have to read them in order. They're one-offs. You know, it's like each one is like a new case with a crime, and they're super good. So that one was really good. So yeah, if you have recommendations, especially for like old books that I can get for free on Audible, I will take them. And yeah, I'm gonna finish this up here because I have to go watch Wicked with my friend. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye!